Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for quite some time, we're going to start this program off with a salute to the United States of America. We're going to be favored by the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. I would ask now that everyone please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Oh, yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
Army Barbershop performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The host of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and of course the Army Barbershop Quartet performed one of the hardest hymns to sing, the United States National Anthem, and we praise them for that. God bless you all of our men and women in the armed forces, wherever you might be around the world. God bless all of our allies as well around the world. Folks, we are about to attack Yemen. The United States of America, backed by the great country of Great Britain, is about to attack Yemen. The Houthi rebels, backed by Iran, seized another ship today, and the United States has tried to repel that attack by Houthi rebels. The United States ships in the Gulf and over in the Mediterranean have been attacked by Yemenis and Iranian-made drones. Today, an address from President Biden is imminent. that the United States is going to go to war against Yemen and is going to destroy their war machine. The United States and Great Britain has every asset at their fingertips. They have every asset and is backed by our countries to attack Yemen and destroy their war machine. And while we're at it, we probably will be taking on Iran. Now this presents a huge political stunt. Will Russia back Yemen and or Iran as we attack them and destroy their war machine? I hope not. But that remains out in the balance. Okay? I want to ask all of us to pray for our men and women in the armed forces, to pray for our countries, to pray for each and every one of our countries. And it doesn't matter whether you are in Sweden, Norway, or Denmark, or Finland. It doesn't matter whether you are in the great country of Great Britain, or South America, or Australia, or New Zealand, or Japan. We need to pray for our countries and our country's well-being, each and every one of our citizens within our borders. God bless you all. It remains to be seen how far this is going to go. But folks, it's going to happen. It may happen as early as tonight. Now, with that said, I want to play for you a audio clip from the News Nation. Texas, the great state of Texas in the Midwestern part of the United States. The great state of Texas is taking a new apprehension approach with migrant arrest bill. With a migrant arrest bill. Here is News Nation.
Efforts like Texas Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star have had some success in deterring illegal crossings, but that has led to upticks in other regions. Operation Lone Star has activated members of Texas Department of Public Safety and even organizations as far away as Florida to help control parts of the border with Mexico. The individuals with Florida Wildlife Commission deployed down here through Governor DeSantis in connection with Governor Greg Abbott's Operation Lone Star. They're actually going to have the authority to arrest migrants who cross the border illegally. They will have the same powers as Texas DPS. Local sheriffs will also be enforcing the law once it's in effect. But whether it will be prosecuted will be up to the county attorney.
I can't speak for Valdese or Maverick County, but being misdemeanors here in Kinney County, our county attorney will go full bore. And we just got to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row. And the first couple ones, they're going to get challenged. And I'm sure we'll probably have, out of if we catch 101 mud, 99 of them will be challenged.
Kinney County seeing an increase in human smuggling. 226 pursuits since January when compared to 168 for all of last year.
Under the Constitution, I think it is legal because A, we're in a border crisis. B, we've seen the huge number influx. So I think we've got enough grounds there to protect our people under the Constitution.
And while Sheriff Coe says he supports the new legislation, he is worried that bailouts, where undocumented individuals who just crossed illegally run during a traffic stop, that may become more common because they're worried about the consequences. Sheriff Coe says it's personal at this point because his constituents are being put in harm's way by these criminal organizations. And it's reasons like that pushing Governor Greg Abbott to continue doubling down on fortifying his state's southern border with Mexico. Something the governor's border czar says is working, as Texas is seeing a roughly 30% decrease in illegal crossings.
The migrants are going to move in the path of least resistance. And so one of the things I said on day one when I came in is I wanted to make Texas the least desirable place for illegal immigration to happen. And I believe that we're creating that resistance. Multiple layers of concertina wire stretch along the Rio Grande here in Eagle Pass, an area that's essentially become the epicenter for illegal crossings in the state.
Despite efforts to turn them back, migrants risk it anyway, claiming Mexican immigration officials won't let them cross at the legal port of entry. So Texas DPS and Florida Wildlife Commission officers blow up and down the Rio Grande all day, trying to deter crossings and help those in need of assistance while crossing the fast-moving and dangerous waters. But no matter the effort, the cartel still controls who crosses where. Watch as the DPS airboat pushes the coyotes back who just forced a group of roughly 70 migrants across. Allie Bradley for News Nation in Eagle Pass, Texas.
Okay, that's from Eagle Pass, Texas. This new law that Texas Governor Abbott has signed into law is going to assist local law enforcement agencies in arresting anyone that is crossing the border illegally. The millions of people that have been crossing illegally and getting away with it will no longer get away with it. Any one of these illegal migrants that is caught will go to jail. They will be arrested. And at first thought, like this sheriff talked about, they may be caught up in court, but at least the migrant will remain in custody until that court hearing is finalized. But for now, the migrant population will dwindle because Texas has taken a huge bite out of crime. I applaud Governor Abbott. I applaud all of my fellow law enforcement agents up and down the entire border from San Diego over to Central Texas and over into Florida. It's got to be stopped. And the buck stops here. The buck stops here. Okay? Now, I may not be popular in stating that, but I'm not here to win a popularity contest. And in fact, most liberals hate me. Most liberal people hate me because of the stances that I take. Regardless, I stand for rule of law. Rule of law takes precedence here. We have to stop the migrants. We must stop the illegal crossing of the border. We must stop these illegals being transported over the Rio Grande, where they drown. Texas Governor Abbott put floating buoys in the Rio Grande to stop the migration. He put razor wire in the water. Yes, there are razor saw blades in the water. There is razor concertina wire on the shore of the Rio Grande to stop the illegals and stop the cartels. Governor Abbott has now again taken a stand against Joseph Biden. It remains to be seen what the federal government will try to do now. But for now, people will be arrested that are crossing the border illegally, and I applaud that again and again. All right, now that I've said my piece there, we'll go on with this program. Winter weather has set in all over this country, from northeastern Washington, southwestern Canada, going down into northern California, across over to Lake Tahoe, where one person was killed that we reported on a blizzard condition causing an avalanche over near Lake Tahoe. One person's been killed there. There have been other people that have been seriously injured by this cold weather. Today and tonight, below zero temperatures plague Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Temperatures below zero, minus 21 below zero. It's dangerous. I want to ask people to be very careful with what you do. Don't risk your lives out there shoveling snow. I've seen elderly people in Fargo, North Dakota, shoveling snow and succumbing to the cold. Please watch what you're doing. If you're going to go out, whether you're older or younger, make sure you have proper clothes on. Make sure you have a heavy winter jacket, you have face covering protecting your nose and mouth from inhaling very cold air. Make sure you have a hat on so you're not risking losing body heat through your head. Make sure you have gloves on, protecting your hands and fingers from frostbite, and adequate boots as well to protect your feet. God bless you all. Tonight is going to be a miserable night all over the United States and elsewhere around the world as this cold weather settles in. Now, I have a weather report here from one of my friends here in North Carolina who works for WCNC TV here in North Carolina. I want you to hear this report. This is really good. Take it away, Brad.
Hey, good Thursday morning, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Brad Pedovich here. Friday's another day. We need you to stay weather aware for potentially some severe storms. Now, this system is some ways like Tuesday, but in other ways completely different. And we'll get into that as I talk in my vlog today. It's an interesting setup because some of the parameters just aren't as foolproof or as 100% sure as Tuesday's system. You can barely tell the system developing right now. It's right basically in the middle of the country. But when we turn on the severe weather outlook today, you're going to see real quickly where this risk is. It's going to be in the middle of the country right there. I'm going to put the probability of tornadoes on here in a second, but we'll put the severe weather risk first. But it's right here that we're watching for that risk of severe storms today. You can see the low, medium, and even higher risk there already ahead of the system. So this will develop throughout the day. And then this will shift off to the east as we go into tomorrow. So I'll put tomorrow's severe weather outlook out. And you can see not a lot of change from yesterday. We're still generally in that low to medium in this little narrow stretch of high, which could come up to the Charlotte area. There's the biggest uncertainty is how far north that this severe weather risk comes. I do think eventually towards Raleigh, we're probably going to see a better chance. But back here in the Western Carolinas, there's still a little bit of a question mark. This is going to be one of those events where it could be pretty bad storms or it could end up being nothing. I'm just going to put it out there because it's that real tight threshold of getting some instability in here. But there's so much wind energy, again, with this system, it only takes a little bit of storm fuel to get things to go crazy. So this is the overall risk of severe weather. We can break this down by categories. Now that we're day 2, I'll go probabilistic for tornadoes. So the chance of tornadoes in our area, green is 2%, brown is 5%, and the yellow is the 10% chance. So obviously that 10% chance, I know that seems low, but this is a chance of a tornado, not a chance of rain, okay? There's a big difference in probabilities between getting a little wet and your home being hit by a tornado. That's a big, big difference. So treat these are pretty high. Once you get 5-10%, that's significant. And this is a significant area to watch. Probability of hail, very little. That's 5 to 10%. Hail's not a big issue. Wind, though, this is the wind probability. It's actually higher than the tornado risk. So you see the 15, the 10, the 5, the 15, and the 30. So the 30% chance is in there. And again, there's a hatched area in here as well, not showing up here, but that means there's a significant risk of strong tornadoes that do develop. I really think the corridor that I'm watching, the Midlands of South Carolina up into this area right in here, does potentially have some pretty strong indications of tornadoes, because when the low pressure tilts like this, that makes the wind shear, the backing of the winds, that's unfortunately a pretty good setup, or bad setup in this case. Good for the atmosphere, bad for us for tornado development. So let's get right into the futurecast. All right, let's dive head into this right now. Okay, this is the 10 a.m. hour this morning, just a couple hours from now as I'm recording this. We'll go into the afternoon hours. I'll stop this at around 7 p.m. Eastern time. Notice the storm is just developing. So even where the severe weather risk is today and tonight, this area could be an overnight event. So folks in the middle of the country, that's always a tough one. There's the low developing and pushing east. I'll go to early tomorrow morning. So unlike our Tuesday system, we're actually going to start the day dry with this setup, high pressure, and it's going to be chilly. We're going to be wedged in initially, so it'll be cold early on, and that's why there's some uncertainty in how far north the severe weather gets, because what you're looking at here, there's a warm front somewhere right in here trying to push north, and you got to get along the warm front or into what we call the warm sector for there to be a severe weather risk. The cold air is good. It actually keeps away. I know people, I've said this in the last couple of days, stop asking for warm weather in the winter. It's not a good thing. We can have that all spring, all summer, and all fall long.
Okay, I'm going to stop it really quick here. Look over around Springfield, Missouri, where it says Springfield, over in the green on the left-hand side top of your picture here. Springfield, Missouri, going north and east. Look at that severe weather there. High winds, rain/snow, and tornadoes. That red and orange are thunderstorms, guys. Thunderstorms going on. Everybody needs to look out for that. Now, not just that, but look over around just south of Daytona Beach, Florida. All that tornadic and thunderstorm area there needs to be paid attention to. That is tomorrow evening.
You do not want it warm in the winter. That causes problems. And so we do not want the warm air to get up here, because if it does, then we're going to be into severe weather mode. So you see that front just to our south. So here we are at noon on Friday. Still probably dry, but here comes some clouds. I think the moisture starts to arrive late afternoon. So I'll zoom in a little bit closer here. And you can see here comes the first batches of rain, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, probably mid-afternoon. Now, the real question is, where's that warm front? That's going to be key. It looks like it might be in here, but there's some indications in the isobars it might be in there. So depending where it is, these cells here concern me, because these could be supercells. And then here's the main front. So you got two threats. This is threat number 1, supercells ahead of it, and then the main line is threat number 2 that moves in. So here we are, 3 o'clock. We'll go to 4 o'clock. We're in the rain. Again, some of these could be supercells ahead of the main line, because it looks like we're well into the warm air at this point. We go to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Boy, that's when it looks like, yeah, we're certainly into the warm sector now. So in the evening hours, we're well into the bad weather here. I'll move my head down here for folks in eastern North Carolina. We're well into the bad weather now. And then here comes the front. Right there, there's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and then it's getting out of here. So I'll back that up real quickly just to put the timing. Again, look at the time. It's right up here. Every location is on the map. So I'll get a question, what about this location? They're all on the map. Everybody on this map is there, okay? You may not be labeled, but it's on the map. The time is up in the corner. There it is, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
Okay, look at where it says Hickory. Look where it says Hickory in the upper left center of this slide here. Hickory is just east of where I live. You can see a dot of orange just west of Hickory. That is Morganton, North Carolina. This storm will be hitting us just about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. We may or may not have power at that point in time when this storm travels through Morganton. We will keep you informed whether or not we are being able to do our program tomorrow evening. But right now I'm just giving you this hint that we may have problems with power tomorrow evening.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So the key part here is that instability or fuel for storms. Let's quickly look at that. So we'll jump back and look at the thunderstorm fuel. That's the product you're looking at here. And again, you can see it surging up ahead of the system. Notice the Carolinas, none currently as we go into 4 a.m.
Look at that warm, moist air coming out of the Gulf of Mexico.
On Friday morning, we go 7 a.m., 8, 10. We go to noon, not much going on. Ooh, it's a saving grace. When is that warm air going to surge north? Here we are, 4 o'clock. Look, it's starting to surge up there. We get to 5, 6, uh-oh, this is what you watch for. And again, it's not going to take much, just a hint of it. And again, 7 o'clock ahead of that line. So you get the idea. The area of concern is going to be that area to the south for sure. You can see the Midlands of South Carolina are certainly going to be, and I think even up into here, but look how close to the Charlotte metro.
Okay, I want you also to look around Knoxville, Tennessee area. Okay, it has that blue and white area there. There is a possibility for really bad weather there tomorrow afternoon going into tomorrow evening. Rain and or snow showers in the higher elevations of the mountains there.
That's why it's such a close call here that's a pretty big surge. So going into the evening hours, that's a whole bunch of fuel getting up here. A whole bunch. For this time of year, that's crazy. Okay, let's talk about wind. Not as much wind as the last system. You can see the overall wind gust. Generally expecting, I would say, maybe up to 40, 45 mile per hour gusts. And again, a lot of this will be associated with the front and then behind it. So not nearly the kind of winds and the consistency of the winds that we had on Tuesday. Rainfall-wise, much lower than Tuesday. But here's the thing. Ground is saturated. If you get a line of storms, thunderstorms tend to overproduce rain. Anything close to an inch or above, if you see that in a localized area, could cause flash flooding. So it's a day we want you to stay weather aware. It's not going to be nearly as bad as Tuesday, but we'll have updates today. I'm waiting for every run of the new guidance to come in because this will be really an hour-by-hour thing as we kind of watch how far north that
storm's going to be. Let's take this map back here. Okay? Look up at the upper Midwest. Look over in Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho area, going far south into Utah and Colorado as well. Look at those low pressure systems coming in. A lot of heavy duty moisture in the form of snow and lower temperatures. There is a huge low coming out of Canada, and that's going to be reducing the temperatures in the upper Midwest. As I stated before, today, tonight, and into tomorrow, -0 temperatures in Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, parts of Utah, northern Utah, going over into Colorado as well. And as that storm moves east, those temperatures and snow will drop going into North and South Dakota, into Minnesota, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Be aware of that. That huge low pressure system coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. Be very prepared on what that does. You see this red-orange area here? Guess what? There's a high pressure system coming out of the north in the form of very cold air, meeting the lows on the western side of it. Very dense storm systems. It can be very deadly. So those of you in northern Texas going into Missouri, you're going to have to be prepared for this as well. Okay? I just want to give you a heads up. These storm systems are going to be mean. They're going to be very mean. The low pressure system that is up over Washington and Oregon right now, that's also going to continue to move east. But that low pressure system in Washington and Oregon is going to bring heavy snow and some freezing rain. Freezing rain. Anything that comes in wet is going to turn to black ice tonight and into tomorrow. Be very careful if you have to travel. Be very careful traveling. Like I said last night, everyone needs to have an emergency preparedness kit in your car. You need to have water if you're traveling. Do not leave the water in your car if you leave your car for any length of time, because it will freeze, break the bottles that the water is in, and then you're going to have water all over your car, and that's not and will not be very much fun to deal with. Make sure you have food. Make sure you have warm clothes, blankets, and jackets for everybody in your car. Make sure you're prepared. Make sure your car is in good running order. Do not venture out into these cold temperatures, ice and snow, without your car being in good running order. You don't want to be caught with a car with running problems when these storms hit. Be very prepared. Don Patoka says polar vortex. I would say yes. A polar vortex is coming. It's going to come. Please be prepared for it. Do I have any questions about this? I wanted to play this weather forecast by Brad Panovich. He's a friend of mine. He's a very good friend of mine. He gives great information, and that's why I put it out today. Okay? Don Patoka says slip sliding and sparky power lines coming. You're absolutely right. With these heavy duty snows and ice, it weighs down heavy on these power lines and will snap these power lines like crunchy ice cream. It will snap and they will fall. There will be power outages. You need to be prepared for that. Make sure you have flashlights. Make sure you have some way to stay warm in your home. This cold weather is going to dip into Texas as well. There will be snow in Texas. Okay? Texas lady says no snow predicted here. I tend to differ with you. I talked to a weather friend of mine that works over in Houston. They told me there will probably be some kind of snow this weekend in Texas. Texans don't like snow. Be very prepared. Be very prepared. Okay? James Baraka is here in the chat, and he's saying that Britain and the United States struck Yemen just about 20 minutes ago. They're striking now with the full force of our military over in Yemen. And they will destroy the war machine, as I talked about earlier. Does anybody have any questions? I always want to make sure I stop and answer any questions. These reports are very important for all of us. Okay? Demon Catman and Dawn and the rest of our mods, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Andrew Golden's in the chat, says about a week ago, and I'll be watching this from the middle of a lake. Oh, I know that for a fact. Okay? Over just south of us, we have a park called Bethel Park. Yesterday, Bethel Park was a lake. It was a lake with about 2 feet of water. Today, there's a lot of mud, and there's a small stream still flowing through Bethel Park. Mud and huge, I want to say, puddles, for lack of a better word. Okay? Sweet Polly Purebred is asking when, or telling us winds. Absolutely. Like Brad Panovich said, the winds over here on the East Coast will be 25 to 40, 45 miles per hour, and they will be very strong. I took my flags down yesterday before the heavy rain and winds, and they will stay down until after this storm moves through. Winds are supposed to pick up to 50 miles per hour in Michigan. Oh yeah, they very much will. That huge storm system coming out of Canada, oh yeah, I can only imagine 50 mile per hour winds up in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, that area. Oh yeah, big time. Big time. Grace for purposes, dig out those bib covers for your faucets today. Make sure your outside faucets have some kind of covering. Otherwise, they could freeze and your water lines could break, and then you'll have more problems. Be very careful with that. On the inside of your house, to keep your pipes from bursting, make sure when it's cold outside that you have your faucets set to drip, maybe even a fast drip. That way water is circulating through your pipes so you don't get any broken pipes. Okay? Any more questions or comments? Winter weather is coming through here with a vengeance. I'm just saying, winter weather is coming through here with a vengeance. It's going to be bad. The chances of tornadoes are going to be huge tomorrow afternoon. The chance of tornadoes will be about 3:30 to about midnight tomorrow night here in South Carolina and North Carolina. Okay? You see Shelby? That's where very dear friends of ours live. They're friends of mine and our program. Okay? You notice where Hickory is on this map. Just west of Hickory is where I live in Morganton. Okay? I just want to make sure that you guys are familiar with what's going on here. A lot of you live in this area as well. Okay? Any other questions? Any other questions? Before I get into the depths of our programs tonight, I want to talk about Iceland. This is a map of Iceland. Again, note, over here where it says Reykjavik, in that red square there, that is Reykjavik, the capital of Iceland. South of there is the Reykjanes Peninsula. That is where Grindavik is. Down there in Grindavik is one of those huge fissures that opened up in November last year. They were attempting to try to fill the fissure in. A man fell into the fissure. One of the workmen fell into the fissure yesterday evening. The latest I heard, they're still looking for him. He fell deep into that fissure. That fissure is 25 meters deep. 25 meters deep. 75 feet deep. Okay? Unreal. Now, there have been some earthquakes in Iceland. I want to point that out as well. There have been some earthquakes in Iceland. And the USGS is not covering it. Okay? The earthquakes today are over here on the north side of Iceland, near and on the island of Grimsey. These are 2.0, 2.5, and 2.25 earthquakes. 4 of them. 2.0, 2.25, and 2.5 earthquakes here on Grimsey. This is the island just north of Iceland. It's part of Iceland, but it's on the north side of Iceland. Okay? Earthquakes are still happening, but this time north of Iceland. Very minor tremors are over around the power plant. They're just north of Grimsey. Or not Grimsey, I'm sorry, Grindavik. Okay? Let me bring up that map again. Okay? Notice where the Blue Lagoon is. That is where the power plant is. Okay? They have built a wall around the Blue Lagoon and the power plant to prevent lava from entering into that power plant, or the Blue Lagoon. The power plant provides water, hot water, and it also provides power to the entire island of Iceland. Grindavik is where they had evacuated that town. Now most of the citizens have moved back into Greenvik. Some 3,800 people have moved back into Greenvik. Like I said, they're trying to repair and fill in those fissures. Work has stopped at those fissures until they try to retrieve the person that fell into it. Okay? That's what's going on there. Okay? Iceland has not stopped from being a problem. Okay? Those great people there's about 500,000 people over on Iceland. Most of them are over just northwest of Greenvik on the opposite side of Iceland in Reykjavik. Most of those people live around Reykjavik. There are some other communities north of there and other communities south of there, but most people live near and around Reykjavik. Okay? That's what's going on in Iceland today. Now, I want to go over, before we get into talking about the new Madrid fault, I want to go over to the USGS map. We have had some earthquakes all around the globe. See that this map of Iceland here? Folks, this we need to pay attention to. Okay? That one earthquake here, doggone it. This is at the volcano that I pointed out, Preparedness volcano. Okay? There's a 4.5 earthquake here. This is not near Greenvik at all. This is at the volcano. This volcano last erupted about 30 years ago. It shut down air travel throughout Europe because of the ash and toxic gases it launched into the stratosphere when that volcano erupted. They're still watching it. They're watching it very closely. We don't believe it's going to erupt anytime soon, but this 4.5 earthquake is something that they cannot not think about. They're watching this very closely. Okay? There's also an earthquake up here near Svalbard. Up here near Svalbard, north of Iceland. This is also a 4.5 earthquake up here on the North Mid-Atlantic Fault. This one is actually in the the Sea of Norway. The Sea of Norway. Okay? That's what's going on up there. Now, before I go too far, okay, over here in Afghanistan and the Pakistani area, they have had an earthquake. This earthquake was a 6.4 very strong earthquake. A 6.4 near Urim, Afghanistan. This is a very strong earthquake. People have been killed as a result of this earthquake in Afghanistan. There are also other aftershocks, such as this here being a 4.3. This is a 4.1. This 4.1 here is a fairly decent deep quake, 208 kilometers deep. This red one that just hit is 101 kilometers deep. This other aftershock here of 4.1 is 233 kilometers deep. Deep earthquakes here. Deep earthquakes. This 6.4 was 206 kilometers deep as well, down into the asthenosphere. Okay? That happened today over here in Afghanistan about 4:20 a.m. Eastern Time this morning. Okay? There have been a lot of other earthquakes here as well. Now, USGS is not giving us hardly any data over here in Indonesia. There's about 24 earthquakes here in Indonesia. They're showing 2. They're showing 2. This 4.6 in Banjar, Indonesia, just south of Java. This is a 4.633 kilometers deep. We have one other earthquake over here in northern Indonesia. This is a 4.3. This is 308 kilometers deep. 308 kilometers deep. Now, I have a depth to magnitude conversion chart that I'm going to show you here. I want you to take a look at it. 308 kilometers deep here. Okay? 308 kilometers deep, we go up to the top center here. See where it says 305? We go between 305 kilometers deep down to 310. This means we would add a 0.67 to this earthquake. 0.67 would make this a 5.0. There will be a 5.0 magnitude earthquake that's going to be a result of this earthquake. This earthquake is going to propagate a much larger, more shallow earthquake. A large 5.0 as a result of this earthquake today. Okay? Now, let me take this depth to magnitude conversion chart down. I'm not going to put it away, I'm just going to take it down for right now. USGS is not talking about anything in Australia, are they? They're not talking about anything over in Papua New Guinea. There are earthquakes here. Let's go over here to Fiji. This earthquake today in Fiji was a 5.0 large earthquake. This earthquake was 503 kilometers deep. 503 kilometers deep. Let's bring back the depth to magnitude conversion chart here again. When I talk about 509 kilometers deep, let's look over to the right center part of this graph here. This graphic. 507 kilometers deep, guys. That is a very deep earthquake. Okay? Let's look over here. It says we have to add a 1.01 to 1.02 to this earthquake. This means this 5.0 here is going to propagate a larger, stronger earthquake, a 6.0 very strong earthquake. This could propagate the earthquake here in the Fiji, Kermadec Island, New Zealand, or Tongan region. Or it could propagate this earthquake to go over into Vanuatu or the Solomon Islands, or also over here into Papua New Guinea. This large earthquake, this very strong 6.0, it could also over here end up over here in South America. Over here in Chile and Chile and Argentina. Today in Chile and Argentina, we also have a couple earthquakes here. This earthquake over here in central Chile here is a 4.3 earthquake. Santa Cruz, Chile. This is a 50-kilometer deep earthquake. Well, that's not very deep at all. It's a very shallow quake. North of there is a 4.6 earthquake, 112 kilometers deep. Now, I'm sorry I left that depth to magnitude conversion chart up. This here is over in northern Chile in the border region with Argentina. Pampa, Argentina. This is a 4.3 earthquake. But again, it's a pretty deep earthquake. This one is 259 kilometers deep. 259 kilometers deep. Let's go back to the depth to magnitude conversion chart here. Let's go up here either to 305, which is 0.61 we would add to it, or down here to the left and the bottom of this conversion chart where it says 285 kilometers deep. Again, a 0.57 we would add to this earthquake. This is a 4.3, so we'd add a 0.57 to this. This would make this a 4.8, 4.9, 5.0 earthquake. A large 5.0 earthquake here in northern Chile. Okay? This was a fairly deep earthquake. A fairly deep earthquake. Now, this is null, folks. There's more. There's actually a lot more. Okay? Again, this earthquake is over in the Pacific. Okay? This is west of Tonga. This is a 5.2 earthquake. This is only 10 kilometers deep. 10 kilometers deep. Back over here in the South Pacific, around Tonga in this area, this is Levuka, Fiji, a 5.0 earthquake. We talked about this being a very deep earthquake, 509 kilometers deep. South of there, this is another 4.8. Okay, this is 501 kilometers deep. What are we going to do with this? Okay, let's go back up here to the top here. 500 kilometers deep. We're going to add a 1.01 to this earthquake. A 1.01 to this earthquake. What does that mean? We're going to add a 1.01 to a 4.8. This is going to make this a 5.9, 6.0 earthquake. So now we're going to have 2 6s here. 2 6s. 2 very strong earthquakes are going to propagate as a result of these 2 deep earthquakes here. These 6s will happen within the next 72 hours to 10 days. Not to be outdone, further south over in the Kermadec Islands, north of New Zealand, this is a 4.8, 40 kilometers deep. 40 kilometers deep. But folks, again, the USGS is not telling us everything. Okay? I've been planning for this literally all day long because the USGS has not told the truth to us at all. They're not telling us the truth at all. Let's go over here with my device. I want to show you what has really happened today down here in the islands of New Zealand. Okay? I want to show you this. Look at these earthquakes rocking New Zealand. Let's talk about those earthquakes just north of New Zealand here. Okay? This earthquake here is a 3.50. A 3.50. South of there, again, this is in the Bay of Plenty. The Bay of Plenty. This is a 2.84 earthquake here. Also in the Bay of Plenty is a 2.91. A 2.91. Also in the Bay of Plenty over here, off the North Peninsula of New Zealand, a 2.2. On land, a 2.54. A 2.54. Hawke's Bay. Off the coast of Hawke's Bay, we have 3 earthquakes. Here is a 2.59. Right next to it, literally, is a 2.51 and a 2.67. Off the coast of Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. Okay? let's go over into the north central part of the North Island. Just south of the Bay of Plenty, we have a 2.7. There's a doggone it. There's a 2.7 right there. Over just north of Topo Lake. Topo Lake, okay? Let me zoom in here on New Zealand here. I want to show you Topo Lake here. Topo Lake is a super volcano. Topo Lake, New Zealand. A super volcano here. Right there. That's Topo Lake. That's a super volcano. Just north of there, we have a 2.42. There's a 2.42. Closer to Topo Lake, a 2.23. Right next to Topo Lake, literally on Topo Lake, this is a 2.22 at the supervolcano. Supervolcano, who would have thought? Most people know nothing about New Zealand. That is a supervolcano right there. Let's go south of there. Man, I wish this be more responsive. Okay? Just west of this volcano here. This is on the southwestern peninsula of New Zealand. Okay? An earthquake here. It's a 2.52 earthquake just west of that volcano. Okay? Now, just off the north shore of the South Island. Just off the north shore of the South Island here. This is in the Strait, Cook Strait here. In the Cook Strait, a 2.86 earthquake right there. These are minor earthquakes, yes, but we need to talk about them. There is, let me back this out just a little bit here. There is another earthquake over here in the northern part of the southern island. There is a 2.38 earthquake right here. It's on the earthquake fault. It's a huge earthquake fault coming out of Tonga. Now, there are no other earthquakes here in southern New Zealand, and no other earthquakes any further south either, near Macquarie Island down south here. Nothing there. There are no earthquakes here in Australia. Nothing in Australia. But again, look here in Indonesia. Plenty of earthquakes here in Indonesia. Okay? Now, let's go over here off the northeast coast. Okay, I'm going to back this out a bit. And again, it's going to take a while for whatever reason. USGS is not being very responsive here tonight. I want to take you up here into, come on. I want to take you up here into the Philippines. Mindanao, Philippines here. USGS is not showing any earthquakes here at all. Folks, the aftershocks are still hitting here. Let me show you this. This is a 3.7 just off the coast of northeast Mindanao, Philippines, a 3.7 there. Two other earthquakes here as well, a 3.3 and a moderate 4.1 earthquake right here. Earthquakes are still striking this area. This was a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake here 4 weeks ago. Earthquakes are still hitting here regardless of what the USBS says. Okay? Regardless. Off the northern island of Luzon, Philippines, I want to show you this. There's a 3.1 earthquake here off the North Island of Luzon, Philippines. A 3.1 earthquake just off the coast there. Japan, off, or actually on the Noto Peninsula of western Japan, in the Sea of Japan. I want to show you this because, again, this agency doesn't want to be truthful with us. Heaven forbid they would tell the truth about anything. They're showing one earthquake just off the coast of Noto, Japan. This is a 4.5, 10 kilometers deep. But that's not the only one. There are 5 other earthquakes over there on the Noto Peninsula. Let's talk about those earthquakes. The southern Noto Peninsula is a 2.7. A 2.7 there. Going north, where the major earthquake happened here, okay, this is a 3.0 near the Ishikawa, town of Ishikawa, Japan. Okay, 3.0 there, a 2.4 just north of there, and also another 2.8 north of there. Just south of that 2.8, we have a 2.6 there. Now, folks, it is snowing there. It is snowing. There has been 160 people that were killed as a result of this earthquake in Noto, Japan. 160 people killed, over 300 people have been injured, have been found injured. Rescue crews are still searching for survivors of this quake, and it's been over a week since it happened. Almost 2 weeks since it happened. They're still searching for survivors, still doing search and rescue efforts. Almost 2 weeks since the quake happened, and 300 people have been found dead, or 300 people have been found injured, and over 160 people have been found killed as a result of the quake in Japan. Okay? So USGS saying there's only one earthquake today, they are so frickin' wrong. They're very, very wrong. It's snowing also over there in Japan, so that cold and snow is hampering rescue efforts in Japan. Okay? I want to make that clear as well. Over in the Kuril Islands, we had a 6.4 earthquake here in the Kuril Islands north of Hokkaido here the other day. Today we have a 4.5. This is 35 kilometers deep. Folks, since that 6.4 hit here in the Kuril Islands, we know for a fact that that large seismic energy, that very strong seismic energy, that huge major seismic energy is heading north. We fully expect any day now to have another 7.0 earthquake over here just off the coast, east central coast of Kamchatka Peninsula. Another large 7.0 earthquake is going to hit here. After that earthquake hits, it's anybody's guess as to where the next 7.0 earthquake is going to hit here in the Aleutian Islands. It's coming. It is coming. I thought we probably would have had a 7.0 earthquake up here just off the northeast, or not the northeast, but the north central Kamchatka Island here. I thought it would already been here this week. It has not. I expect it to hit any time. After that, we're going to have 7.0 energy coming through the Aleutian Island chain here, going up into Alaska. Now, as soon as I see that 7.0 earthquake in the Aleutian Islands, I will issue a major earthquake alert for Alaska. When that 7.0 rounds over there in the Aleutian Islands, I will issue a major earthquake warning for Alaska. Today, they're only showing this 2.5 earthquake over here in Sterling, Alaska. A 2.5 minor earthquake in Sterling, Alaska. Further north, they're showing a 2.5 near Big Lake. Big Lake is just north of Anchorage. To the west, Susitan, Alaska, there's a 3.7 earthquake here. Now, folks, don't be dissuaded because the USGS is not showing earthquakes in Alaska. USGS is lying about what is going on. This is more what Alaska looks like right now. Okay? They're not showing much of anything here. Again, Susitan, Alaska. Here's another Here's another 2.0 near Susitan, Alaska, along with that 3.7 there. Now, north of there, on the northern western part of Denali National Park, another 2.0 earthquake here. Northwest of there, they're calling this Denali National Park, but this is not. This is northwest of Denali here. It's a 2.0 earthquake here. A 2.0 earthquake northwest of Denali National Park. They're not showing that here. Okay? I'm showing you the European map here, that's why. They're not showing much of anything anymore whatsoever with anything. Now, I want to go over to northeastern Alaska. USBS is not showing anything here. Over here, northeastern Alaska near Yakutak, Alaska, we have a 2.3 earthquake here. A 2.3 here near Yakutak, Alaska. Okay? Again, the American agencies showing squat. Squat. Okay? The U.S. agencies also not showing anything in Washington State. Wrong. Actually, it's not even Washington State. It's northwestern Idaho. Northwestern Idaho at the border of Washington and Idaho. This is a 2.37 earthquake near Beauville, Idaho. A 2.37 earthquake at the border region of Idaho and Washington State. Okay? They're only showing one earthquake down in northern Mexico. This is a 3.3 earthquake just south of the U.S.-Mexican border. A 3.3 magnitude earthquake just south of the U.S.-Mexican border. Now, the European agency is not showing everything either. USBS is showing this earthquake here. This earthquake hit yesterday. This is Point Sur, California, just south of Monterey Bay. We talked about this earthquake last night. 2.9, 3.0 earthquake just south of Monterey Bay yesterday evening. Okay? That's all they're showing here. That's all they're showing here. Let's go over here to Arkansas. Arkansas and Louisiana. Okay, this is the border region of Arkansas and Louisiana. Here is a 2.8 earthquake here. Northwestern Louisiana at the border of Arkansas. This is a 2.8 earthquake. A 2.8 earthquake. 5 kilometers deep. A very shallow earthquake. 5 kilometers deep. 2 miles deep. Okay? 2 miles deep. We're going to talk about the New Madrid fault right now. Okay? First, before we do that, over here in southern Mexico, the USGS is not showing anything in southern Mexico. Over near Acapulco, a 4.0 earthquake near Acapulco today. South of there, we have another 4.0 earthquake here. Salina del Cruz, Oaxaca, Mexico. A 4.0 earthquake there. South of there, La Paz, a 3.7 here in La Paz. Okay? So we still have 3s and 4s hitting here. Now, even though the USGS is not showing anything, and Europeans aren't showing much of anything either, I will tell you this. There are more 3s and 4s all over southern Mexico. Just because the Europeans are also not telling the truth doesn't mean they don't exist. They do. Okay? Look at the earthquakes over here in South America. 2s and 3s and a couple 4s over here in Chile and Argentina area. Okay? They're still not telling us the truth. This earthquake near Arequipa, Peru. Okay? This is a 3.5 near Arequipa, Peru. Okay? The rest of these earthquakes in Chile and Argentina. Look at all this. 15 earthquakes between Argentina and Chile today. Most of these are 2s and 3s. 2s and 3s. 3.0 Atacama, Chile. 3.0 San Juan, Argentina at the border of Chile. Here's that 3.0 right there. Okay? South of that, 4.6 Distritos Las Cuevas. Okay? 2.5 near Valparaiso. 2.5 near Valparaiso. Also offshore Valparaiso is a 3.1 here. South of Valparaiso, we have a 4.5. There's that 4.5 just south of Valparaiso, Chile. Okay? Way south. Southern Chile, Playa del Blanca. Playa del Blanca, we have a 2.8 here. Okay? As I talked about, we have quite a few earthquakes in northern Chile as well. Northern Chile and Argentina here. Let's briefly take a look at these before we go over to the New Madrid Fault. Okay? In Chile, Antofagasta, Chile, we have a 3.0 and a 2.7. 3.0 and a 2.7. Going over into the top of the Andes Mountains here. A 2.8 here. 2.8. Just north of there, a 3.3. A 3.6. Salta, Argentina, a 3.6. And this 3.2 in Antofagasta, Chile. Again, this is the border region between Chile and Argentina right there. Okay? And further north, Abra Pampa, Argentina with that 4.3 here. We have several 4s and 3s all over here in South America. Folks, why are they not telling us about this? Okay? 14 earthquakes here in Chile and Argentina. 14 earthquakes. They're showing us 2. One earthquake near Arequipa, Peru. Another 4.0 Arequipa, Peru. Okay? In Colombia, in the Andes Mountains in Colombia, we have a 2.1 near Santander, Colombia. This is a very popular place for earthquakes. Santander, Colombia, 2.1 there. North of there, in Venezuela, here's another 3.0 here in Venezuela. Okay? USGS not showing any of this crap. Heaven forbid they're truthful with the public. They're not. One more earthquake over here I want to talk about. This is over here in southwestern Puerto Rico. This is a 2.5 earthquake here near Guayanilla, Puerto Rico. This is an aftershock of an 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake that hit here 4 years ago. December 26th and December 28th, 4 years ago. An 8.0 and an 8.4 earthquake struck this area. They were man-made earthquakes. Man-made earthquakes. Okay? North of San Juan, Puerto Rico. This is a 3.7 just south of the Cayman Ridge. The Cayman Ridge starts off over in Guatemala. It runs from Guatemala through the Caribbean all the way out here. It passes Jamaica. It passes just south of the Cayman Islands. It skirts the southern shore of Chile. It goes north of Haiti and the Dominican Republic that you see here. It goes north of Puerto Rico, dropping earthquakes like this one just north of San Juan, Puerto Rico today. It goes north and around the U.S. and British Virgin Islands here, and around the Leeward Islands here in the Caribbean, and then it continues to drop over here into the Atlantic Ocean and turns into here into Venezuela. Okay? The Cayman Ridge, folks. The Cayman Ridge. Now, I want to go back here into the New Madrid Fault area. While we're not seeing everything here that's going into the New Madrid Fault area, I am going to show you seismograms showing you exactly what's going on here. Okay? We're going to show you seismograms of what is going on. Now, let me pull up those seismograms for you right now. Hold on, folks. Okay. I show you that 2.8 near Summit, Louisiana. I want to go over to Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock, Arkansas and Little River, Arkansas. Look at this. Okay? Look at the tremors and earthquakes that we had over here in Little Rock, Arkansas area. This morning, this seismogram starts off at midnight last night. We can see a lot of tremor activity happening. Okay? Just about 12:45 this morning, and even before that. We have 0.1 and 1.1 tremors happening here. After 2 o'clock this morning, 2:15 a.m. this morning, we see 1.2 and 1.3 tremors. Long-lasting tremor activity. Long-duration tremor activity. Look at that. We come down here to approximately 7:25 this morning on this red line. This is a 2.0 earthquake here. A 2.0 earthquake, Little Rock, Arkansas. USGS, where is this on your map? We see a lot of other tremors here as well. We go down here to the far bottom right-hand side of this seismogram here. This, folks, is at 11:44 a.m. this morning. Another 2.0 earthquake here. 2.0 earthquake here this morning. Little Rock, Arkansas. Little Rock, Arkansas. What else is going on? What else are they not telling us? What are they not telling us? Look at what happened here this afternoon. Let me enlarge this for you. Okay? This is what happened here. Just after 12:15 this afternoon, all of a sudden the tremors start really hitting, don't they? The tremors continue until it gets over here to about 12:50, or excuse me, 12:20, say 12:25 this afternoon. Okay? All of a sudden we have 2.0 and 3.0 earthquakes hitting. 2.5s, 2.0s, 2.5s, and 3.0 small earthquakes happening here. Little Rock, Arkansas this afternoon. Richard Smith is saying a 2.5 in Kenai, Alaska. Oh yeah. What's happening here in Little Rock this afternoon? Look at that. Small 3.0 earthquakes happening. $12:25 this afternoon. 12:25, you see multiple 3.0 earthquakes. 12:26, you see another at least one or two 3.0 earthquakes, as well as some smaller quakes. At 2:28, you see another 3.0 earthquake. Just before 12:29, you see another 3.0 earthquake. And after 12:29, almost right before 12:30, you see another 3.0 earthquake. Then it calms down. Okay? It calms down a short while. At 12:33 p.m. this afternoon, we have another 2.7, 2.8 earthquake on the blue line. We go over to the green line beneath that. 12:51 p.m. this afternoon, we have another 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. Little Rock, Arkansas this afternoon. 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. Small earthquake, but still a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. And we also have a bunch of others. 2.0, 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes. Just after 1:15, 1:20 p.m. this afternoon. Then, after 2:15, actually 2 o'clock on that black line, you see more tremors hitting. Okay? After about 2:20, 2:21 p.m., we have another bunch of tremors turning into 2.0 earthquakes. Little Rock, Arkansas, guys. Why are they not showing this on the USGS map? I told you all last night that we're going to talk about the new Madrid fault tonight. There's a lot of earthquakes here. Okay? Also at Mark Tree, Arkansas, north of Little Rock. Look what we see here. Not as much seismic activity as we normally see it at Mark Tree, Arkansas. However, look what happened early this morning. Early this morning. After 1:15 this morning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, it starts off at about 1. I want to say 1:21 this afternoon. Starts off with here a 1.0, 1.1 tremor. That tremor activity lasts for 2 minutes. Then we have a 1.5 tremor, 1.6 activity. It turns into 2.0 earthquakes. There is a bunch of earthquakes here between 1:22 p.m. this afternoon until 3 minutes later. 2.0 activity and tremors after that. Okay? Then, again, 2:16 p.m. this afternoon on the red line. It builds up to 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. The top and the bottom here have been cut off that red earthquake. Probably closer to 3.3, 3.5 earthquakes. Why do I say that? Because if we look out to the right, we have a secondary quake that lasts a full minute. So the seismic activity that happens before that is probably closer to a 3.3, 3.5 earthquake, because the secondary wave lasts a full minute after the primary waves stop. Okay? So probably 3.5 earthquakes. After that, we see tremor activity, don't we? That tremor activity really gets going again at 2:30, 2:31, going into 2:32. The tremors get up to 1.6, 1.7. They continue and then climb up to 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes. And even, I believe, into 3.0 or larger earthquakes. Again, they cut off the blue seismic signals again at the top and the bottom. Probably at least 3.0, 3.3 earthquakes. Again, the secondary wave in this case lasts 2 minutes. It's not a big secondary wave, but the secondary wave lasts 2 minutes. Then, after 7 a.m. this morning, 7:15 this morning, starting about 7:16 this morning, again, we start off here with 3.0 earthquakes that last a minute and a half, off and on for a minute and a half. Then we have a secondary wave here that lasts 2.5 minutes. This earthquake was at least a 3.0, 3.5 earthquake, because the secondary wave lasts 2 minutes. We have tremor activity here as well the rest of this morning. Okay? This afternoon, the big earthquake stopped this afternoon here at Mark Tree, Arkansas. However, just after 12:58 p.m. this morning. 12:58 p.m. this morning. I'm sorry, not this morning. 12:58 p.m. this afternoon on this green line. We have a 2.9 earthquake. At least two of them, if not more, side-by-side earthquakes, one after another. This seismic sequence lasts over a minute and a half. Then, on top of that, the secondary wave here lasts a full 2 minutes. This was at least a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. After 1 p.m. we have some small tremors. Those tremors also continue to just before 1:15. Then after 2 o'clock this afternoon, about 2:02 this afternoon, we have a bunch more tremors. This tremor sequence lasts over 2 minutes. Marked Arkansas. Usually we have larger earthquakes in the morning and the afternoon, so this is tame. Very tame. Going off to north central Arkansas this afternoon. Ozark Folk Center, Arkansas this afternoon. Up at the top right, this would be at 12:42 p.m. this afternoon. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. This could be and very close to a 3.0 small earthquake. Then, at about 12:55 p.m. this afternoon, again another 2.8, 2.9 earthquake bearing close resemblance to a 3.0 small quake. And then a tremor after that. Then we jump down here to 2:33 p.m. This is a 3.0 earthquake. This 3.0 earthquake lasts about 10 seconds. Then at 2:30, we have another 3.0 earthquake here. Ozark Folk Center, north central Arkansas. Okay? A lot of earthquakes in Arkansas, huh? Not to be outdone, but here over in Truman, Arkansas, look at this. Truman, Arkansas sometimes mimics the Marked, Arkansas earthquakes. Today that's not the case. Today the biggest things we have here are 2.0 minor earthquakes. This morning, tremors and earthquakes starting off at approximately 1:20 a.m. this morning. They continue after 2 a.m. on the black line. Look at that. Tremors and minor earthquakes over on the right-hand side. About 2:13 and 2:14 this morning. And that seismic energy continues after 2:15 on that red line. And the seismic energy is off and on all morning long here. Okay? That, folks, is Truman, Arkansas. This afternoon, we had a few more 2.0 earthquakes here. Up at the top after 12 noon on the black line, you see some black lines reaching up off the top of the paper. 2.0 earthquakes. Down over here after 3 p.m. 1500 hours on the left is 3 p.m. On this black line, you see some more tremor activity. Okay? More tremor activity here. Truman, Arkansas. Let's drop down further south to Tyronza, Arkansas. Look at this. Up at the top here, midnight last night, 12:04 a.m. Folks, 2.9, 3.0 earthquake here. Another earthquake, this time at 3:03 a.m. 2.8, 2.9 minor earthquake. Okay? Now, not to be outdone, 4:50 a.m. this morning, we have another 3.0 small earthquake. You see tremors all over this place, don't you? A bunch of earthquakes and tremors. Okay? Let's look at this blue line here after 8. I want to call this 8:41 a.m. this morning. A 3.2 small earthquake here. 3.2, 3.5 small earthquake here on this blue line on the right hand side. Now, over on this red line here in the lower center of this seismogram, okay, this is at 10:25 a.m. this morning. Another 3.0 earthquake. Okay? We still have 2.0s hitting here, don't we? Until we get down here at 11:44 a.m. this morning. Just before 11:44 a.m. this morning on the blue line on the bottom right. This is another 3.0 earthquake. Okay? Tyronza, Arkansas. Small earthquakes and tremors here. Tyronza, Arkansas this afternoon. Look what happened here. We have some more 3s here, don't we? We have a bunch of 2s here, don't we? Oh yeah. The small earthquakes don't stop here. On this black line after 1 p.m. this afternoon. 1:13 p.m. this afternoon, a 3.0 earthquake. At 12:40, about 12:40, 1:40 this afternoon on this blue line. Another 3.0 earthquake. At 1:45, actually 1:50 p.m. this afternoon on the green line. Another 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. We jump down to after 2:30, 2:40 p.m. this afternoon on the blue line here. We have another 3.0 earthquake, and I believe it's multiple earthquakes hitting here back to back. You can see the other tremors and earthquakes here. Minor earthquakes and tremors down here this afternoon. Tyronza, Arkansas. That's not all, folks. They're not just down in the New Madrid Fault area to the south. Let's go over into Fairfield, Illinois today. Fairfield, Illinois this morning. Look at the tremors here. This is all tremor activity. It starts off after 1 a.m. this morning up at the top. Then it's hit and miss. It's hit and miss the rest of the time. All morning long. It really gets started just about 4:35 a.m. this morning. A bunch of tremors here. This is on the north side of the New Madrid Fault here in Fairfield, Illinois. It's not the only things happening. Look at this afternoon. The seismic activity continues here. Okay? In this case, we have 2.0 activity here after 12 noon on the top line here. We go down here to 1230 on the blue line on the left-hand side. Folks, that appears to me to be about a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake here. After that, we have a bunch of 2.0s and tremors here. 2.7, 2.8 down here after 3:48 p.m. this afternoon on the green line. So the seismic activity continues in Fairfield, Illinois this afternoon. Stronghurst, Illinois. We have some tremors this afternoon in Stronghurst, Illinois here. 2.0s. 1.7, 1.8s here. Okay? Stronghurst, Illinois today. It's insane, guys. It's moving all over the place. How about Indiana? Look at Indiana. Very minor tremor activity this morning. Very minor tremor activity this morning. We move down here to just after 12:50 a.m. this morning. 2.4, 2.5. I won't even say that. It's not a 2. This is about a 1.8, 1.9 tremor here. Okay? Just about 10, I want to say 10:49 a.m. this morning. 10:49 a.m. this morning. Nothing but minor tremors after that. Okay? Evansville, Indiana. Evansville, Indiana this afternoon. Minor tremors all afternoon long here in Indiana. Okay? The north part of the New Madrid Fault is still active. Just not as active as the southern part. Okay? Let's go down into Louisiana. Okay? We talked about a 2.8 earthquake down there in northwestern Indiana. Let's go over here into southern DeRidder, Louisiana. Look here at the tremors here. Okay? In the first part of the morning. First part of the morning before 5 a.m. Very quiet. Tiny tremors happening. Microquakes as well. Okay? Then after 5 a.m. on the black line, you see some very minor tremors happening here. That continues after 8 a.m. here on the black line. Very tiny tremors here. 8, 9 a.m. this morning. 10 a.m. this morning. Down here at 11:28 a.m. this morning. Nothing but tremors here. Very tiny tremors. Very quiet here in DeRidder, Louisiana. It's on the southern New Madrid Fault. Okay? Good old Louisiana. Pioneer, Louisiana. Look at this. Nothing really here until late this morning. Just very tiny microquakes, and then we had some tremors after 6:30 a.m. this morning. And that tiny tremor activity continued until late this morning. Let's look at Pioneer, Louisiana this afternoon. Look here. Very, very tiny microquakes and occasionally 1.1 tremor. That's all that happened here in Pioneer, Louisiana this morning. They don't want to show us much of anything, do they? Not at all. Not at all. They want it to be quiet. Let's go over into the center of the New Madrid Fault. Let's look at Barker Cemetery. Barker Cemetery in Missouri here. Usually Barker Cemetery has a bunch of tremors and even 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes. That did not happen today. All we see here in Barker Cemetery this morning are nothing but very minor tremors at all. That's it. Let's look at Barker Cemetery this afternoon. It changes. I'm sorry, that's not Barker Cemetery. This is Barker Cemetery this afternoon. More tremors. There's only one 2.0 earthquake. Can anybody show me here in Barker Cemetery where that 2.0 earthquake is? It's on the blue line at the top, on the top right. Okay? This is 12:27 p.m. this afternoon. A 2.0 earthquake this afternoon. That's the only one. During the past months here in Barker Cemetery, we had 2.0 and even 3.0 earthquakes. Today, only one 2.0 earthquake. All the rest of them are tremors here in Barker Cemetery. It's quieted down here in the central Missouri area here. Central New Madrid Fault. It doesn't say it hasn't stopped. It just quieted down. East Prairie, Missouri. Look at this. Look at this. It's quiet. Just minor tremors early this morning after midnight. Then it starts picking up later this morning. At 8 o'clock, we have 1.7, 1.8 tremors. After 8:30, nothing but tremors. After 10 a.m., the tremors start. They get going, don't they? About 10:11 a.m. this morning, we have a 3.0 earthquake, small earthquake. Then tremors and microquakes and more tremors until just about 10:14 a.m. this morning. Again, this is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Then, after 10:15 on the line below that, okay, what do we have here? 10:09 a.m. this morning. Again, we have 3.0 earthquakes. 3.0, 3.2 earthquakes. About 35, 40 seconds later is another one. 3.0. About 10 seconds later, another 3.0 small quake. Look at that. Isn't that something? Minor tremors all throughout the morning till late morning, then all of a sudden it hits into higher gear. Small earthquakes there later this morning. Kind of wild, huh? It's not over, folks. I'm telling you, it's not over. That was East Prairie, Missouri this morning. This afternoon, nothing but tremors. This afternoon, nothing but tremors here in East Prairie, Missouri. Let's continue. Let's go over to Guam, Missouri this morning. Look at this. We have tremors all morning long. Yes, some of these, even after 2:40 a.m. this morning. Tremors and 2.0 earthquakes. Long duration quake sequences here. The same thing happens after 5:15, 5:30 a.m. this morning, and again after 5:55 a.m. this morning. The red and the blue lines. Okay? We have tremors leading into 2.5, 2.7 earthquakes, minor earthquakes. Then again, just about 7:46 a.m. this morning, we have another 2.5, 2.8 earthquake, minor earthquakes, tremors all over here. Okay? Then after 10:35 a.m. this morning, another 2.5, 2.6 earthquake on the blue line. Then we kick over here till after 10:13 a.m. this morning. We have some tremors leading, we have some real tremors leading into 2.0, 3.0 activity. 2.0 earthquakes, minor earthquakes, all the way up here until 11:44 a.m. this morning. All of a sudden it's 3.0 earthquake again. 3.0 earthquakes continue with tremors after that. Okay? Guam, Missouri. Central Missouri, the center of the New Madrid Fault. Guam, Missouri this afternoon. Essentially the same thing. Just tremor activity with an occasional 2.0 earthquake. And that's all. Okay? Missouri. Now I want to show you Marston, Missouri. Very little activity here at all. Marston, Missouri, early this morning, just after 12 midnight. Very tiny microquakes happening until 12:30 a.m. this morning. Again, after approximately 12:35 this morning, 12:37 this morning, we have some tremor activity, long duration tremors. Then it quiets down to nothing again. Marston, Missouri. Okay, usually Marston, Missouri has earthquakes. It does not today. New Madrid, Missouri this afternoon. New Madrid, Missouri this morning had almost nothing. Microquake activity. This afternoon, all we see here are tremors. Tremors here at New Madrid, Missouri this afternoon. Okay? Then, we jump over to Portageville, Missouri. Portageville, Missouri is on the Mississippi River. Look at this. Again, this is Central New Madrid Fault. This morning, after 12:45 a.m. this morning, about 12:50 a.m. this morning, all of a sudden it really gets, actually it's past that, about 12:51 a.m. this morning, all of a sudden we get 2.2, 2.3 earthquakes turning into 3.0 earthquakes here. Okay? Then we have tremors the rest of the morning until 9:30 a.m. this morning. Actually, it starts before that. At 9:25 this morning, we have some tremors, and just about 40 seconds later, we have 2.0 earthquakes. A few seconds later, we have 3.0 plus earthquakes. The top and the bottom of this red seismic signal here, over 3.0 earthquakes, probably 3.5 earthquakes here. Okay? This seismic sequence lasts 2.5 minutes. When it dwindles down to a secondary quake. The secondary seismic activity lasts a full minute, maybe just over that. That's why I believe this is probably close to a 3.4, 3.5 earthquake. One, it lasts a long duration time period, and it also has a secondary quake to that, a secondary wave here. Then after the secondary wave stops for about a minute, it starts off again. Starts off with some tremors, it goes into a 2.0, 2.2 earthquake, then it builds up to 3.0, 3.5 again here. This seismic sequence lasts 3 minutes. It lasts about 3 minutes on this blue line. 9:30 this morning. Starts off at 12:25 a.m. this morning, and it lasts all the way over here to 9. I want to say 9:36 this morning. After that, we have a bunch of tremors, don't we? Absolutely. Incredible. Portageville, Missouri. This afternoon. Not much happens. Over here in this red line here. This is 12:20 p.m. this afternoon. 2.4, 2.5 earthquakes. I think it builds into a 3.0 earthquake before it dies back down again. Okay? Portageville, Missouri, central Missouri. Small seismic waves here. Small earthquakes here in the center of the New Madrid Fault. Okay? Now, I'm going to show you Wardell, Missouri. Wardell, Missouri. This is where it gets crazy. Look at this. Wardell, Missouri, guys. This is nuts. From midnight on through the entire morning. 2.0, 2.5 earthquakes. I don't see any 3.0 earthquakes here at all. These are all minor earthquakes all day long. Yes, there's probably some tremors here as well, but it's almost all colored in here. Black, red, blue, and green colors throughout this seismogram, top to bottom. Wardell, Missouri, all day long. Look at the bottom, guys. Look at the bottom green line here. That is nothing but tremors. Nothing but tremors. This might have gotten to be a 2.0, 2.5 earthquake at some point in time, mid-morning today. But that's all it was for only a short time period. All the rest of this is tremor activity. Wardell, Missouri. Central Missouri. Central Missouri on the New Madrid Fault. Look at that. It continued, didn't it? It continued until 4 p.m. this afternoon. Actually, before that. Okay? About 3:45, actually not 3:45, 3:56 p.m. this afternoon. I think we probably had a 3.3, 3.4 earthquake, small earthquake. That earthquake sequence lasted about 30 seconds. Then it dies back and hits again. Dies back and all we have are tremor activity until 4:03 this afternoon. We have a 2.0 earthquake again. It dies back to tremor activity until 4:06 p.m. this afternoon. Again, we have 3.0 earthquake activity again. It goes off and on for about 30-40 seconds. Then, for about 40 seconds, it's 2.0 earthquakes and tremors. Then it kicks up to 3.0 earthquake again. Look at that. This is Wardell, Missouri, central Missouri. We're having 3.0 small earthquakes all over the New Madrid Fault. 3.0 earthquakes and tremors all over the New Madrid Fault, mostly in the center of the New Madrid Fault. Okay? Seismic energy is getting harder and longer. Seismic energy is increasing here on the New Madrid Fault. Are you guys seeing this or not? Okay? Amy Jo says, I was woken up awake at about midnight with a shaking feeling. Couldn't sleep after that. We aren't supposed to be feeling any of this in Minnesota, are we? Amy Jo, did you not hear me talk about a volcano over in Lake Superior? If you look at Google Earth, no, I'm not. No, not even Google Earth. Go over onto, well, no, yes, it's Google Earth. Go on to Google Earth. Pull up the map and open it wide open in the area of Lake Superior. There's a volcano there. There's a volcano there. You may also be feeling magma underneath the ground that you're walking on, magma tunnels going to that volcano. Magma rushing through underneath the ground you're walking on, going over to Lake Superior where that volcano is. That volcano is recharging. Also, I've told you about other seismic events happening in Minnesota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. How does that happen? With the ground structure in that area. The ground structure has different parts of it that are moving. Even with the cold can cause seismic stretching of the rocks. The rocks breaking underneath the ground. You might be feeling the rocks breaking. Tremor movement. Let me pull this down. I want to show you something with my hands as an example of what's going on there in the Midwest. Okay? You have different rock strata. And there's tiny cracks in that rock strata. Different rock. It can go from granite to sandstone. And you get freezing and warming activity. And that strata is moving just like this. It's slightly moving. You may feel the soil ground movement moving. You might feel that soil and ground movement moving just like this, up and down, vertically. It could also be moving sideways like this. The ground is always moving. Again, what else is going on? Over on in the west coast area of the North American continent. I told you about this earlier in the week. The North American plate is taking a nosedive underneath the western side of North America, California and Oregon and Washington. The Pacific plate is taking a nosedive underneath the North American plate. The Pacific Plate, in doing so, is pushing the North American Plate in an easterly direction. We have seismic energy all over California, all over Oregon and Washington. That seismic energy is moving to the East Coast as well. You get over into the Midwest, you have seismic energy hitting different things going on all the way across the plate. The seismic energy can hit open areas of the plate, where there's open areas of rock not necessarily touching each other. When that rock does touch each other, or that rock shakes from seismic energy finding it, you're going to feel earth movement. It could be minor, it could be very minor, but you might feel it. You might also hear it, as in grinding sounds. Grinding sounds. Okay? That's probably what's going on. Amy Jo says she's a long way from Lake Superior as well. Like I said, you may be feeling the plate moving. These minor rock strata moving. That is happening off and on all day long, 24/7, 365 days a year. Richard Smith says you can program and scan earthquake frequency on your radio. Folks, if you have one of these police scanners on the internet, look up earthquake frequencies. You might be able to program your police scanners to pick up earthquake frequencies, seismic frequencies. You might be able to hear the ground move. That does happen. This does happen, and it happens quite frequently. It happens all the time. It literally happens all the time. You may not notice it, and then all of a sudden it happens. That is typically how it works. You don't notice it, and then all of a sudden it happens all over again. Okay? It just does. It happens all over the place. Now, do I have any questions here? Don Patoka says Richard Smith likely at the bottom of the VLF frequency. Very low frequency. VLF. Okay? 200 megahertz. 150 megahertz. Okay? That's what you're going to probably see it at. Okay? Heidi Petrick says can be done with the handheld ham radio. Yes. Especially with a handheld radio. You might also see it on a mobile police scanner or a base station police scanner. I have several police scanners here. Okay? I have quite a few police scanners here. Richard Smith says, cool, I get VLF. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can. Do you have any questions? The New Madrid Fault's moving. It's moving all over. The New Madrid Fault stretches from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to the Great Lakes, by the way. It also goes into Indiana and Ohio as well, and goes out northeast. So you can feel it. You can see it. We just got through showing you a lot of information here along the pneumatic fault seismogram. Okay? We've given you a lot of good information here. Any other questions? Folks, this evening I want to leave you with a spiritual thought. Tonight my spiritual thought does not have much integration into verbal speech. Although I will tell you this. My testimony of the Lord Jesus Christ is real. I know the Lord Jesus Christ lives. He hears and answers our prayers. I've had him hear and answer my prayers. I've had the Lord Jesus Christ take charge of my life. Jesus Christ himself has helped me throughout the years. I have felt his influence and seen his influence on my life throughout my life. I know he's given me personal revelation. He's given me information on the way to lead my life. He's told me and shown me things to do that's happened in my life. Tonight, I want to play a hymn for you. This hymn is meaningful. I would like you to listen to the words of this hymn. This hymn is called I Believe in Christ. Written by a man named Bruce R. McConkie back in the 80s. Listen to this hymn, and I hope you find some revelation for your own life with this hymn. Again, this is the hymn I Believe in Christ, sung by the Salt Lake Tabernacle Choir.